name is Sylvia Wandao, and I'm a chemist by profession, product developer, and I'm working towards being a data miner. Originally from Kenya, but I have family in Texas, and I live in New Jersey.
Hello, everyone. My name is April Peters. I'm a singer-songwriter and recording artist. I've been working on my recording projects and using what we call lean startup methodology to build my business as an entrepreneur. And that company, of course, is in the tech startup industry, and so I've been a lot more entrenched in technology. I've actually done business development for a tech startup in Newark, and so that's how I'm here today.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lubna Dajani. I'm a technologist, entrepreneur, futurist, and I'm a mother of 2 daughters.
Great. Okay, so you raised your hand, so let's have you start.
I was just waving.
I know.
Hi, my name is Gabe. Nobody that developer for JavaScripting on the web. And
Great.
Hi, my name's Dave Finnerty, solution design engineer, but I'm also the father of a daughter who's in high-tech high school in Monmouth County, which is rated the #1 STEM high school in the nation.
Nice.
Wow, fabulous.
Beautiful.
What high school is it? High technology high school
Yes.
in Lincroft. And
Nice.
if you go to U.S. News and World Reports, it's rated #1 for STEM.
Awesome.
Great.
Hi, I'm Dennis Fones, along with Sharon Waters on the other side of the hall. We are creating the Feliciano Center for Entrepreneurship.
Wonderful.
Okay.
I'm Cassandra James. I'm a junior project manager, but I recently authored a book on how to go from boo-boo to woo-woo in 90 days. So I'm looking for ways to utilize technology to help position myself as a subject matter expert and sell my book.
My name is Linda Pace. I'm from Pace Center Photography. I'm a photographer located at NJIT in the incubator, and I am looking for corporate clients, and I'm here working with Todd today as the event photographer, so I'm excited to be here.
My name is John Patelli. I'm a writer here covering IO Extended for New Jersey Tech.
Great.
Hi, my name is Todd Flynn. I am a currently unemployed program and project manager professional. I recently left Google after 10.5 years, and that's the reason why I came today, and particularly interested in hearing about this panel for a variety of reasons, but mostly because I've had an opportunity over the years to work with some great women, and I think that it's an important thing for us to continue to kind of develop and grow into the future.
Great. Okay.
Hi, my name is Drew Knapp, and I'm with Good Ideas LLC here in Montclair, and we're producing agreatertown.com, and we're also producing the relaunch of myartspace.com.
Fabulous. Okay.
I'm Larry Charles with Charles Executive Coaching. I particularly work with IT folks, technical people who are aspiring to be better leaders. And, given that they have great technical skills sometimes, and I know because I come from 25 years in IT leadership, we sometimes need a little help on the soft skills, leadership skills.
Nice. Okay.
My name is Leslie McCafferty. I used to do web development in the late 90s and kind of got out of it for a while. I'm currently in the tech department of a school system from our Google Apps for Education shop. And so I do administrative support, and I'm hoping to be able to do some Google development with that, and that's what I'm doing now.
Okay. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Helena Bennemer from A Plus Consulting LLC. My business is located at the incubator at NJIT. I'm working on finding solutions to address the IT talent gap in the US. And as such, I have a recruiting business, so I'm searching for several positions at the moment. And my company was also selected to be part of the computer science department's capstone program, which I'm very proud of. And I have 4 students working with me and finding solutions for this
Fabulous, welcome.
My name is Joy. I'm a web developer. I'm interested for do you have the special financial for women?
Okay, great.
My name is Amira Cummings. I am a brand strategist and a tech enthusiast. So I pretty much came today to see if I could figure out. I've been working on trying to figure out how to do branding and tech and what I do all, kind of like put it all together. So I'm really just like a fly on the wall watching everything.
Okay, cool.
My name is Michael Lohr. I work IT support analyst at Viaventus. I'm also their on-site Mac specialist also. And I came here because I'm just a big tech junkie, so
Okay.
all this stuff fascinates me. So.
Great.
My name is Daryl Fatagas. I began a startup about 10 years ago called Boundless Innovations. I've been featured on Jay Leno as a prolific inventor, History Channel, Martin Marvel. I've invented, before the electronic cigarette came out, I pitched it on Jay Leno. Before mobile coupons and smartphones came out, I won an award inventing the mobile coupon app, and everyone thought I was crazy to think that the cell phone would ever be used as a primary method of searching the web. So I've been through some challenges. I've had some of my ideas copied, beat the market. I filed hundreds of patent applications. Awarded my MBA program inventing a similar idea to Google Glass. But challenges, not challenges. Number one, women are more creative. Number two, we've done some studies on that, the more in touch with their feelings. It's very...
Okay, we'll save that for the discussion.
Long story short, I'm passionate about entrepreneurship and startups,
And you're predicting
trying
the future.
to grow my business to a new level, or finding a real job, because being an entrepreneur sometimes makes you money, other times it doesn't.
Okay.
Sounds like you need to talk to Amira.
Oh, what?
You need to talk to Amira.
And last but not least,
Last one, I'm Alan Walter. I'm a general business lawyer. I specialize in helping entrepreneurs get started and stay on track.
Sharon Water is my travel partner.
Sorry.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
You gotta at least talk about our focus on women entrepreneurs.
Yes, so I am the program manager at the Feliciana Center for Entrepreneurship. We were one of the organizers and sponsors today, and we have a special focus to nurture and encourage women entrepreneurs. So far, all of our classes have had more than 50% women in them, and women don't necessarily gravitate to entrepreneurship classes, so we've been doing a lot of outreach to make sure that that happens. And we always try to feature women at events, and we are going to be having Women Entrepreneurship Week the 3rd week of October, so stay tuned for that.
Wonderful.
All right, great. Okay, so let's, we have about 40 minutes, and I think what we have in mind is I'll ask some questions, and we want to open it up for all of you to ask questions. What we're hoping to do at the end of this is to leave this session continuing the conversation among ourselves in our heads, and really contribute to dialogue. And if you stay in touch with Montclair State, you'll see that we'll have a number of initiatives connecting on this particular issue through a variety of vehicles, including an upcoming hackathon. We're just out of a hackathon, which was an all-women's hackathon where we had students from different backgrounds, non-STEM backgrounds, actually competing and winning, coming up with developing an app to, for example, stop texting while driving, using an innovative approach, and they learned how to code in one day. And by the way, the day before that, they said, by the way, what's code? So we're here to talk about possibilities, we're here to talk about opportunities and also challenges, which I think this table has maybe a little bit of a unique perspective on, and we want to just really try to start to move the needle forward. So let me start by asking a little bit of a provocative question. How is it that the three of you are sitting on this table, at this table, a chemist, an artist, and a technologist?
Who says it first? Chemist?
I think because we're all women. And I think we always want to, I feel as an artist, you're always in the community, you're trying to spread something, you're sending a message, you're connecting with people. And as a technologist, we need technology in music, we need technology in our businesses. So I think we all have a similar, how do I say, platform.
Do you ever hear that you're a chemist, what do you have to do with technology?
Yes, I get that a lot. I get the question, oh, well, how did you like, when did you start coding, or when did you start liking web development? And I feel, it's all about just being open and being thirsty to learn something new. So,
Okay.
yeah.
April.
Well, in my house, I'm the person that fixes everything. So I'm married. I've been married for 10 years. And whenever anything breaks down in some way, I've been fixing it. And I actually worked for somebody who's a huge techie. Went to MIT, Oxford, was a Rhodes Scholar, and we did everything through a technological platform, which was not intimidating for me. For whatever reason, and I found that I was actually really good at self-teaching, whether it's web development, which I've done, working as a brand strategist and manager, or putting together my own website as an artist. So I think for me, that's why I'm here, and also seeing the disparity in this industry, that's something I'm passionate about. I think that's probably what links us as well, is the passion about this issue.
Great.
I think I was born a geek. So I've been in technology since I went to school for systems analysis and design, and I had a vision that everyone is going to be connected and everybody's going to need a computer, and I might as well learn. I mean, I think I didn't know I was an entrepreneur, but one of the reasons that I did systems analysis was to learn about different businesses, and what a better way to learn about them, I thought, than to learn about the technology that they're going to need to use in the future. I'm not, my fellow panelists are probably more hands-on technologists perhaps than I am. I don't code as much, I don't really code anymore. I do a lot of evangelizing. I do a lot of connecting companies and creating ecosystems. So that's my passion, is to creating business ecosystems that leverage technology and integrate into everyday life so that we can simplify everyday life or create new revenue streams or new opportunities or new products. So I can relate to the entrepreneur and inventor in the back. I'm here because Nicole asked me, and I can never refuse Nicole. And I am passionate about the cause. I grew up as a girl in STEM and a Middle Eastern girl. I grew up in Kuwait. So that makes it even that much more difficult. I mean, I graduated high school in the States, but to be a girl in tech as long ago as I was nearly impossible and an enormous challenge. And I think girls are more than capable of being technologists. As a matter of fact, I think they're probably might even be a little better at it, because just the way we're made up and the way we think and the way we process logic. So I'm also a co-founder of a nonprofit to bring girls in STEAM. I think arts are just as important. My daughter is going to a college for a university in Washington for art, and the average there is boys are 83%. So it's STEAM is. The arts is also very important, so I'm delighted to be with my fellow scientists and artists.
Great. So let's talk about a few different perspectives on why we still it's now 2014, have a discussion and have a panel around women in tech. So where have we gone in our evolution on the theme of women in tech? And where do you see the future going in terms of the sub-theme of this panel, which is harnessing diversity of thought to really grow the next generation of innovators?
Well, just in our previous phone conversation, one of the things I'll probably answer your second question first in terms of where I see us going, and maybe a little bit of the first as well. I think the fact that we're here in 2014 still talking about this communicates that there's still an issue, that it has been a very homogenized viewpoint and or just visual picture of what technology or tech industry looks like. And I think that more of us have come to the table and have added our views. Case in point, I was mentioning the other day that even with the Gates Foundation, we see that Melinda's input in terms of what kind of services and products and things that they're developing in developing countries and in terms of helping those developing countries, her input has influenced her husband's more technological background. I think someone back here mentioned some of the softer skills that women bring to the table do aid in connecting organizations and companies, primarily tech companies, with the heart of what is going on, and being more socially responsible and more focused on community efforts. So I think those conversations are happening. We see it a little bit more, but there's still a huge disparity. Now, where I see us going, I think that the more conversations we have like this, the more opportunities we have to communicate that there is a problem. There were 3 things that I really gathered from even recently what Google did to expose some of the disparities in the company, which I thought was very good for them to do. Was number 1, they admit the problem, and they commit to fix it, and then third, create access as a solution. And I think those are the 3 things that need to be done. I think more companies need to be brave enough to say there's an issue, here's how we're going to fix it, and here's how we're going to create access.
Okay. Sylvia?
But just on what April said, we're definitely talking about it, and that's an important thing. If we're not talking about it, it gets overlooked or ignored. I feel in 2014, more women are becoming breadwinners, more women are becoming, the heads of the house, and I feel we want to step into areas that we felt we couldn't be in, or we never had role models. So as we're having more role models, April and Amda, like we're all seeing ladies in this, and I feel it's more about giving ladies access, because if you're in a family and you don't see the need or how you can even do that, you won't know. So spreading the word, and I'm sure there are people who don't even know what April's talking about, but as she said, Google just came out with Made with Code, and they want to help women who enjoy coding or who are in the technology or technology enthusiasts, that they can be funded and find a way to go to school and get that knowledge. So, do you want to add something?
Everything they said, and I think it's important to note that yes, we are talking about it, but more importantly, we're finally doing something about it. We're not just, we've known about this for a long time, but now we're doing something, and we're taking action, and it's even at a global scale, whether it's at the UN or at the European Commission. There are initiatives to ensure that there are more women in technology, more women in leadership. And this is beyond a corporate issue or a business issue. This is, I think, more of a social and a cultural issue. We are raised a certain way, and we have, what year are we in? How long have we existed? We're all these, for our entire life of humans, women have been put in this box where we have to fit, and we are finally able to have support in breaking out of that, and in having more of an equality, because it's also not fair to the guys, right? So I think, so I think it's good. I think we're going to start seeing some serious progress, and maybe we will save the world, in fact.
Okay, so on the Save the World, it's an interesting thing, because one of the areas that kind of also, I think, connects us and brings us together is this focus on how to. So if we're talking about, okay, so having women, the voice of women, the voice of girls as part of the conversation, first of all, assumes there is a conversation that we need to join, right, rather than a transformation of the space. But having us part of that conversation, right, how to do that. And a lot of sort of research is like looking at what are the challenges. So stereotypes, it comes everywhere from teachers to colors in terms of tools and these kinds of things. And so we're getting really smarter about what contributes to this pattern, and we're starting to identify a possible way forward. Interestingly, I want to get kind of your take on this. One of the perspectives is not only that this is a nice thing to do, but actually that this is something that is vital to innovation, vital to growth, vital to healthcare, vital to national security. On the grounds that if, in order for us to continue, first of all, to grow a STEM pipeline that every single space needs, from business to government to academia, we all need STEM because STEM technology drives everything. But it seems that we keep generating the same patterns of innovators, right? So an innovation might be slightly disruptive in a space and a kind of continuation on that pattern. And we've now taken a step back and said, why do we kind of keep tweaking our solutions? Why don't we have sort of radical new solutions to problems? And part of that literature and part of the research is showing it's because we bring the same people to the table. And the table looks the same, the voices look the same, and basically the solutions look the same. And so now we're combining awareness with a little bit of like testing out alternatives. How about we mix the teams up? How about we get people from different perspectives? How about we get people who would never be at the table, like the rural villager? How about that person is on the table talking about solutions? And so when you say access can mean something really small and it can mean something really big. So how do we really grow access? And that's, I think, what we want to engage in the conversation. What prevents that and what can bring us forward? And I think you had a question.
Well, I was saying a lot of this starts right in grade school.
Yeah.
I've been there with my daughter and her friends, and her friends will hit a math problem and go, I can't do this, and walk away. My daughter, we've always told her she can do everything. And she does. And right now, she just finished her freshman year at a 97 average in the high-tech high school, which is the hardest thing to do in the area. But it was always support and telling her that she could do things, whether it was sports or math or science, whatever it was. But when they grow up thinking they can't, they never want to join the conversation.
Okay, great. This is really, really important. And then how to fuel that, how to take one example and let it grow, right? And take one example and use it as a transformative experience. We know we have a chair. How many of you knew about the chair before you came in the room? Couple people, right? So how do we get this as part of our conversation, as part of our consciousness? Tell us a little bit, if you can, about your personal experiences in some of the challenges, and then how you have looked a little deeper to rise above those challenges.
I wanted to respond also to something you just said. There's an author, former actress, or really current actress. Her name is Danica. I don't remember her last name. Maybe somebody in the audience. McKellar, it is. Okay. She wrote this book, several, I believe, but specifically around encouraging young girls in math and sciences. And she's been a recent addition to this kind of conversation. She's been on MSNBC and some other outlets as well. And so your daughter and her experience is an exact example of what she talks about in her book, which is, really encouraging and promoting it in very creative ways, using her voice in a creative way to encourage young girls. So I applaud you for what you've said to your daughter growing up. My own personal experience has been a little more recent. I was looking at some presentations on tech, and I noticed that there was this kind of self-aggrandizing, kind of patting on the back, self-patting on the back, not waiting for someone else to do it. that was really, really visible in the presentation of this individual. And it was very acceptable from where he comes from, his culture, who he is as a man, and his pedigree and upbringing. And knowing that I have some things coming up, one of the prevailing thoughts was be authentic, be yourself, be you, because you can't do that, number one. You don't want to do that, number two. And this made me begin to think how many women face this same issue, how many girls face this issue where they're encouraged to either, if they're going to do it like a man, or if they're going to do it, they better be ready because it's going to be very hard, because it just doesn't come natural to them. All of these different things that come up. And even my colleague, Amira, who's in the audience, Amira Cummings, mentioned, that same thing, how we're raised from a parent telling you, or even a teacher saying, oh, you got a C on that, that's okay, because you're a girl. And so for me, facing that, for me, it was really about empowering myself as well as other women and young girls to be themselves and be authentic, that you can bring your unique set of values, skills, etc. to the table. You don't have to throw them out and put them away when you come to the technology table, when you come to the math table or the science table. You can bring all of that with you. I can bring my artistic sensibility to the table because it will inform and maybe change what you said, the conversation, so that what we're inventing in the future affects more people, affects more natives in developing countries. Not to mention, I feel like we have been influencing technology from the beginning, because everything that we look at, that we're using in our households, that we're using in our cars, et cetera, there was an influence from us. And the reason why we're not at the decision-making table, you decide.
We weren't supposed to be. So exactly to your point, I think it's not cool to be a girl in school. It's not cool to be a girl and smart in math or something. You're supposed to be good at other things. So it's not, can't be a geek or a nerd. That it's not a girl thing. Even when you go down the aisle of toys, in a toy store, it's and again, to the point that it's not fair for boys, it's for the girls, and it's the cooking, and it's the dolls, and it's the pink, and blah, blah, blah. So that's the one thing that I think, and I think to your point, very much so, that has to be changed in the way we nurture or and push girls away from the sciences and make it okay, not cool actually to be good at it, and it's okay not to be good at it. And some girls don't want to be actually good at math because they might not be popular then. The other thing I think is because the few of us, and I think this is completely changing now, but I'm going to say it anyway, so forgive me. But in advance, I think the few of us have been doing it for quite some time. There weren't that many of us around, and we women have to learn to, we don't want to blame it all on the guys that have been stopping us and standing in our way to some degree, but the guys are much better, to your point, about being able to stand up and talk, pat themselves on the back and take credit for what they're doing. We are brought up, and I don't think that was limited to the Middle East. You have to be humble. You can't brag about it. You can't say, I'm good. I mean, while I want to say I'm a futurist, I get embarrassed almost, because I still have to get past that. I'm not supposed to brag about myself. Otherwise, I am, whatever. And the other thing is, if a female is aggressive or takes charge, or she's labeled as, you can fill in the blank, at least pushy. Okay, I don't want to say, right? But if it's a guy, he's a go-getter. Okay, so here we go again. And finally, I think the part that I started with saying, and I've been having trouble saying it, is we need to learn to be better to each other. I mean, women have, cried, poor me, and we don't have opportunity, but throughout my years at least, I've not found too many supportive women. And it's only now that that's beginning. And it's partly why I go way out of my way to support, I'm all about equality, by the way. It's not about gender equality for me. It's not about boys or girls or whatever, your gender may be. But we need more girls, and we need to be more supportive of each other and put that cattiness aside. So, with all due respect to my fellow females.
I really like that point, how, sometimes women really go for each other, which is not good. Just to wrap everything up, it is sometimes the society you're in that can limit you. If you don't have supportive parents or your teacher's not supportive, it does put you in a box. But I feel as you grow and as you interact with other people, you need to be open-minded. And don't be scared, be comfortable. There will be areas where you will be just two ladies in a classroom, and just know that anything a man can do, you can do in heels. And that's the way I see it. And just be very happy with what you can or cannot do, and I feel the more we support each other, it will just help. It's all about the grassroots, as much as we want to change the corporate system or education system. Let's start from home, let's start from our community, and I think we'll get there.
So if you were a technology company, let's say a major technology company, looking to grow its STEM pipeline among girls, especially from diverse backgrounds, what are the 3 things that you would tell that company to do?
Amongst girls, it has to be amongst girls,
yes.
Right? Let me see. So if I was a tech company and I'm looking for diversity in ladies, I think the 3 things I would like to see is, I want to know, have they been, this might sound, I want to know if there's people who've traveled, if they've gone to different places, they have a sense of their surroundings, even if they've not been in different states, if they know their surrounding, because that will show their involvement to me. And I would also want to know how they view themselves as an asset to the company. Do you see yourself as a leader, as a follower? Where do you position yourself, and how are you marketing yourself? So location, how you market yourself, and
It can be 2.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Repeat that question for me again. I just want to make sure.
So a little bit maybe different, but we also have this question as well. So if you were a technology company and your strategy is to grow the STEM pipeline among girls from diverse backgrounds, what could you do?
I think I would bring in key decision makers within my company, and I would require that we undergo a process of self-reflection, of looking at who we are, how the decisions that we've made in the past, and how we've come to those decisions in terms of recruitment, where there may have been some prejudices or disparities within our decision making, and really take a clear, honest look. This is hard, but a very difficult look at how we've gotten to that place before we can actually begin to open up ourselves to recruitment, because we don't want to repeat the same mistakes in our recruitment process.
Okay.
So I fully agree. I usually when I moderate panels, I hate when people agree with each other. Oh well. I think, but to your point, I think then it becomes important. If I'm in this position, then I would then establish programs that would engage children and young girls and boys, but with a focus on girls, because we need to raise the numbers, exactly to do the things that you just spoke of, to raise their awareness, to get their environment, to get them thinking of themselves differently, to show them that technology is cool and get them to learn these things. So I think it's important to get to them when they're young. And I think middle school girls particularly are very neglected age. I know I'm a mom of 2 girls. There was nothing that I could find for them when they were in middle school. So I think that's very important. So I think working collaboratively with universities and with professors, amazing professors like Professor Brian here, and then I think that's pretty much
That's a start.
really good start. Yeah. we
Okay,
can
let's
get there,
open
you know.
it up.
Anybody? Yeah.
We want to hear from you, and then also, yeah.
I have a suggestion. I agree with you 100%. I had the opportunity to meet a young lady probably about a month ago from the Midwest, and she actually has a STEM program for children and babies on up. So I would say I would start with preschool and build a pipeline back further so that the children would already have this in their mind and be focused in this direction before they even come into the school system. And then from there, pick up and continue through middle school. Because what I have found is that many young women are already out of the math pipeline by the time they get to the 7th grade. So once they get to 8th grade, it's over. They've moved on to some other area. And then when they get to be 22, now it's a big lag and gap to start over and get into math and science and the STEM pipeline. So I would say start early, preschool on up to middle school, and then move into what you two ladies have stated after that.
Okay.
That would be my suggestion.
So we have a sort of a discussion a little bit around solutions, and one of them starting early, inclusion, doing a deep dive, an internal look at our practices. Let's continue this conversation, and then, yeah. You have something.
Establishing mentorship programs in the company.
Yes, that would be good.
Establishing mentorship programs for girls within the
I
companies.
was going
You
to
know.
touch on the point about where did we go wrong, or why do we think we're still having this conversation. I think it was Luna, is that how you said it?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, where you said more women have to be inclusive. I do think that, I honestly think that it's like a split, it's a split solution. One, for our generation, people who are, we've come up in the women do this, women do that, women do this, and we don't think like this, and we do, where we've had the obstacles. See, including other women and being role models to younger women. Because
Exactly.
when they look at you and see that you are in tech, and you're cool, and you're this, and you're that, it says, okay, this is what I want to be, because we're in a technical age where everyone's seeing visions and they're not exactly put in context. So if I know, if I'm a young lady and I know that you are this woman in tech, however it is, even if you just build a website, and I can connect with that, it may make me want to open up to that much earlier than just saying this is tech. And then on the flip side, I do think that 10, 15 years from now, we'll see in a social change, just because girls are being brought up a lot differently, just like you said, that more women are heads of households, so you don't really have that divide where they get to see a man's role and a woman's role. And then even the toys that we play with, I was talking to April about, I grew up playing with Legos, and I like blocks, and I like, so for me, my brain just automatically kind of fit into that, and I loved solving problems and doing puzzles rather than kind of like playing with dolls. But, you know, Lego's making stuff for girls now, and lots of other kind of technical toy companies are kind of getting them early. So you can, if we can, one, be role models, and then two, really encourage them, not from a mathematical, like, you know, really like math, but really kind of get into this, because we really do have a lot to offer if we can create a technical, like, world.
So now you're talking about also a concrete program, right, a mentoring program, which is around taking real examples and real role models and building that network.
Yeah.
So we're going from raising awareness of this is an issue and this is a problem, but also something that's a missed opportunity, to also like, here's how we get from here to here, right? So there's like a way to move the needle forward. What else? I think you had something you wanted to, someone over here? Contribute to the solution side. Yes.
One thing that catches my attention is if you look at Thomas Edison, his teachers thought he was crazy. He failed he didn't even get to high school. Nowadays, would anyone hire him? Probably not. It would be very hard. And same with Albert Einstein. I think schools are so obsessed with teaching to a multiple choice test, and they did a study in India. It was in Inc. magazine. They let kids alone. They said, become an expert in a subject.
They mentored them, you know, there's a supervisor, they let them study on their own, and they learned so much. I think our states are becoming so obsessed with tests and memorizing facts that we're not using our imagination as much. Henry Ford said, they asked them questions about history, it's like, I can find anyone to look up that question, I don't know. But what's most important is my imagination. I feel schools, with men and women, we're not teaching imagination enough. STEM is great, but there's, how often I feel there's more ways to make us, there's ways to make us more creative.
I so agree with you.
So we're talking also about experiential learning, creativity.
And making men and women mix together in groups in the gym and in the classrooms. Don't, you know, often the times they say get in the group of 4, and you see the 4 guys get in the group. You should make it like maybe more mandatory.
You know what? There's one thing. Something you said just now. What it did was it showed me every example that you used were male inventors, and it prompted me to think about storytelling. It's not against you. It's fine. It's okay. But what that communicates is that we need to be telling more of the stories as well. There needs to be more storytelling in terms of women, what they've invented, what they've accomplished, what they've done. And if those stories get told more, then what you're talking about will also improve. I think.
April, you're talking about changing the conversation.
Changing the conversation.
Changing the narrative from within. Yes.
And that's even in arts. I mean, if you look with references to great artists, it's not, and painters, it's, you know, there are lots of amazing women throughout the years, but they don't get the acknowledgement. And I also totally agree with you. We have to make it fun. It's like we're still working with blackboards, and the kids have. It's just not fun.
Okay, a quick question.
Funified.
We have a
That's my
couple
new word.
minutes. Whose job is it to do this?
Our job.
Good question.
It is, okay. Who's accountable if we don't do it?
We are.
I think everybody knows that in the world.
No, definitely not.
Do you think anybody, everybody lives that in their world?
You can have people that are the exact opposite, who think this is the wrong way to go, and they want to push women back in the kitchen.
Men are better cooks.
Conservatives, eating is a good idea, and that is something that's
Okay, so what can overcome some of these like really deep prejudices? What do you think?
Exposure.
Okay.
And more teachers like you.
I have another question related to that. There's a hint in the end, and whoever kind of gets in the neighborhood of the answer gets the prize. The question is, how do you get, we all know, we see it, right? We've all faced adversity, we've all faced resistance to our ideas, to our work. So how do you change deep resistance?
You don't be quiet when somebody says it. You don't sit back and accept it, be the passive person saying, okay, that's what you think, fine.
Okay.
Get right in their face and say, you're wrong.
Has anyone done that?
I have.
Sometimes, I think as a lady, sometimes you don't want to talk. Sometimes you just act. If they say, I don't think you can do it, go and do it. And then the next day they'll be like, oh, you did it. So
we're talking about not only changing attitudes toward technology, but actually attitudes toward engagement?
Yes.
Dialogue.
I think a lot of women are having a negative self-concept. Society has progressed so much. What was it, 100 years ago, women couldn't vote. They couldn't go. It was taboo to even go to college. Some weren't even allowed to go to college. We've come a long way. We're getting farther. Like Dad said, when he worked in the 70s or 60s, women were just starting to enter the workforce. Now, I see a lot of women having the better jobs than men nowadays. We're coming a long way. The income gap's still there, but it's not like it was. I feel we're progressing a lot.
Who were the champions?
I don't know all that. You might know more than that.
So I'm going to tell you, and then I still have this to give out. In that hackathon that we did, I thought it was a cool thing. We organized it really quickly. We had not a very high bar in terms of expectations. And as I said, people from all over, people who didn't even know what code was from across campus. And I had the unique opportunity to get to know 12 girls over 3 days during this hackathon. And one of them said to me, I just want to thank you for doing this. And she said because her experience growing up was that she was ostracized from her community, and her father was the only one who stood up for be a computer scientist and you will do these things. And then the father and the whole family was ostracized. And so for her, this was proof of concept to believe in herself, to believe in, for her father, to believe that what he did was right, and to move the needle forward in that. I had a separate conversation with someone from a different country. It was the exact same conversation. So as much as we focus on women and women encouraging, we also want to focus on who are the champions and who are in the positions of power to actually really make significant change. On the question, I think, you know, you're participating a lot, so this is like leaning your way. But another reason, right, if we look at, we're talking about how to change entrenched thoughts, right?
That's good.
When we think about the opportunities for women, anybody ever hear of the, you know, wage gap? Anybody have any guess on the neighborhood of the wage gap, for example, in computer science?
40%?
Let's say tech overall.
40%. 40?
Overall, we're like 70 to 100 in all space.
Wow.
You know, maybe 80 depending on your figures. Guess where we are in tech? 3% gap. So, if you have a daughter and she's in high tech, she's gonna make you money. The economic model can also help drive change. So I think we're talking.
Good.
We're talking about a number of avenues.
That's really, I don't really like that.
You don't like that? Okay.
Because that's the problem that I'm coming with right now, is that there's a lot of people that I know, and they think about getting into technology and coding because money. And I don't want to work with people that are thinking money.
Okay.
I want to think with people about going forward, changing, you know, things from how they are, and you know, dollar bills are like old world kind of thing. That's what motivates people in other industries.
This is perfect what you're saying, and let's like rephrase, right? Because I think we weren't saying that that's what's going to motivate the people to be in tech, but that can get people to start thinking, maybe this is something I should allow my kids to do. So we're talking like we're working in a room in two different ways. Why I'm saying this is we know that in cultures, and as we have in the U.S., but also in cultures where there's entrenched thinking, let's say domestic violence and these sorts of situations, severe, when through social entrepreneurship and through different opportunities, women start to become earners, their level of respect goes up and the level of domestic violence goes down. So when there's an economic recognition of the value, that sometimes can help open up the mind to say, okay, well, I'll let my wife out of the kitchen for an hour. Now, I get what you're saying.
true, totally.
I think one of the critical things that you're saying is that also, a whole thing is critical, but especially, we're dealing with change, we're on a platform of change, and we're dealing with a change in the conversation, which is where the generation that you're in, that a lot of us are in, is trying to see that using technology for social good, for a purpose. So not developing an algorithm for the sake of a cool algorithm, but developing an algorithm that has meaning and has contribution. And I think that you're absolutely right. We don't want to focus on tech stocks and money and all of that, because that's not the kind of innovation that we want to help bring forward. But what we're talking about is how to change resistance and then how to build empowerment. Yeah.
Quick question. Entrepreneurship created almost all our jobs, our schools, our businesses, but Inc. magazine did a study that entrepreneurs are 60% less likely to get hired, and that there's entrepreneur discrimination. I noticed when I became an entrepreneur and I wanted to get back into a real job, I encountered a lot of challenges. Oh, you just want to use this job to save for your inventions or something. And I'm just wondering, you're a professor, there's some experts here in women entrepreneurship. Have you found that that's a challenge some women face, or men when they enter entrepreneurship, and then some want to stay in it, but some want to discrimination, there's some challenges.
So absolutely, I
think that's
mean-
an issue we gotta
You know what?
research more.
Absolutely, and I think again, that's connected. This conversation is not like in a silo, right? We've got different things coming in. And on this perspective, I mean, one of the challenges is when you have an entrepreneurial approach and mindset, and then you're trying to infuse that or infuse yourself or insert yourself into a culture or an organization that is resistant to that, that's where you hit a wall. So what we have to do is also, again, create a mechanism through which it's embraced. And we see the most innovative companies doing this, where they say, you know what, it's not the case that you leave your private life home. When you come to work, this whole myth of public-private is really a myth. We want to hear about what you do on the weekend, and we want to hear about your interests, and we want to include that and incorporate that.
It's a good company, but not all over it.
Well, but that's the thing, is how do we measure the bar of innovation? Do we measure it based on P&L, or do we measure it based on breakthrough ideas and breakthrough change? And that's the different kind of conversation we're having. What does innovation really mean? Are you the most innovative because you came up with a cheaper way to make a light bulb? Or are you the most innovative because you came up with an approach that's going to help solve a problem? I came back from Silicon Valley. I know a lot of you worked at Silicon Valley a few weeks ago. And the environment was an environment where people have happy faces, where people are smiling, where people are working together. I know that's, a broad generalization, but they're happy people. And they like each other. And they have time to spend to each other. And they get time to actually, think outside of the box.
Our HR people open up hiring entrepreneurs, or they just want that person who's got a solid work history at a company X, company Y. I'm just wondering if you're seeing that, because it's some research I came across that.
Yeah. So what we're talking about is person-job fit, right? Do you fit in this culture? Now, you can say, I don't fit, but I want to change that culture. And now you're not only an entrepreneur, but there's something else there that's going on, right? So
You're an entrepreneur.
You're an entrepreneur. So tell
An
us.
entrepreneur in an institutional environment. And there are organizations that are looking for that kind of innovation. And so it is about what you said, person to organization fit, making sure that you're not going after the
Organizations that don't want that, but the ones that celebrate it.
Okay, and we are going to continue this conversation offline because we're out of the room. We want to thank you. Please stay in touch with us because we're going to continue this through our initiatives